Today we're looking at the last known photos of icons taken before their passing, part 3. Let's get it started. When this 13-year-old boy captured this picture of legendary basketball player Kobe Bryant, he had no clue that he just snapped the last photo of him. Sadly, the next day, Kobe and his daughter Gianna boarded a helicopter in which they lost their lives in. This photo of Robin Williams at a party was taken the day before his passing. He was suffering from severe depression. The very next day, the 63-year-old movie star and comedian hung himself. This is the last known photo taken of Prince outside of a Walgreens pharmacy. 13 hours after he was last seen, he was found unconscious in his home. He died from an accidental overdose of opioid medication. This is the last photo taken of Jimi Hendrix with his favorite guitar, Black Betty. This photo was taken in his girlfriend's garden in her backyard. The very next day, Jimi Hendrix died after choking on his vomit from taking a mixture of drugs.
This is the disturbing truth behind Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty was created back in the 1970s by a Chinese woman whose daughter had cancer. The doctors told the mother there was nothing she could do, and her daughter will die. The mother then went to every church and prayed for her daughter, but it didn't work. The mother became very desperate and turned to devil-worshipping and satanic rituals. She then made a pact with the devil himself. But if the devil cured her daughter's cancer, he wanted one thing in return. He wanted her to create a cartoon character to appeal to children all over the world and to trick people into worshipping the devil. When her daughter recovered from cancer, she kept her promise to the devil and created Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty was designed with no mouth because her daughter had mouth cancer. Hello Kitty's pointed ears represent the devil's horns. The word kitty means demon in Chinese, so Hello Kitty really means hello demon. And they say anybody who buys Hello Kitty merchandise is welcoming the devil into their hearts.
These are photos taken right before disaster struck, part 1. In this photo you see two boys standing right next to each other, Michael McQuilkin and Sean. Michael is 18 years old and Sean is 12 years old. In this photo, nothing seems to be wrong, except for the fact that their hair looks to be extremely staticky. And when your hair is extremely staticky like theirs are right here, it means your hair is building up electric charge. And as you can see in this photo, there are storm clouds in the background. And only a few minutes after this photo was taken, both Sean and Michael were struck by lightning. And surprisingly, the two brothers survived the lightning strikes. Sean was left with third-degree burns and ended up taking his life in 1989. But ever since the lightning strikes, Michael has been spreading awareness and caution about lightning. Make sure to hit the follow button if you're new for more daily content like this.
Here are some photos taken right before disaster, part 21. So a lot of people have done very stupid things to try to get perfectly timed selfies, but this has to be the worst. This photo right here shows Jared Michael, and that thing right next to him is actually a moving train. Milliseconds after this photo was taken, he was struck by that train. This photo shows Filipino politician Ronaldo Dagza's family. He was taking a photo of his lovely family on New Year's. But in the same photo right there to the left, he captured the assassin that would end up murdering him right after he took this photo. This is why you should always keep both your eyes on your kids. This is the last photo ever taken of 3-year-old William Tyrell. His mom was watching him and a couple of his siblings play outside. Then his mom went back inside to go get her phone, but when she came back outside, he was gone and has never been found ever since. Pretty sad.
These are facts that make death even scarier. Up first, since the first ever human being, about 108 billion people have died. If you just stop and think about that for a second, it's actually impossible to wrap your head around. Every single human being you've ever read about has lived on this planet and died. Next up, we've all heard the phrase, he died of old age. But that is a complete myth. You don't actually die from old age, but instead all the sicknesses and diseases that come with getting old. Getting old is actually awful and is probably one of the worst things about being a human. Finally, by the time you finish this video, 150 to 200 people will have died. People die every second of the day, which should make you stop and appreciate your life right now, because it could be gone within seconds.
Here's some of the creepiest videos on the internet, part 10. The popular American rapper XXXTentacion was murdered on June 18th, 2018, and his death broke the hearts of many. Many people visited his memorial to leave gifts, but some people captured much more. The YouTube channel, The Fam, recorded a video trying to communicate with this beloved rapper, but accidentally captured this. But someone else got a lot more than this. The YouTube channel Selva the Explorer got to speak with him through her spirit box. Here's some things he had to say.
What is your favorite song that you ever recorded? What's the name of your favorite song? Are you in the white light? Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Spine-tingling photos taken just before tragedy, part 4. This 18-year-old Russian girl would climb very dangerous heights to get the perfect selfie. But in this photo, she climbed a 30-foot tall bridge, and then after this picture was taken, she fell to her death. But it wasn't the fall that killed her. But while she was falling, she tried to grab onto the wires of the bridge and ended up getting electrocuted by 1500 volts. This man was going for a walk in the woods when he saw a black bear approaching him. Moments after this picture was taken, the man was brutally attacked by this bear and killed. The man's phone was located in the woods, completely covered in teeth marks. This is Sydney Loof, posting a selfie on her Snapchat story before she went on a date. She was then tragically killed that night by her date. She had bruises all over her body and she was strangled to death. She went on this date excited to start a new future, but instead her future got cut short.
Here are some photos taken right before disaster, part 27. This photo was taken at the Burning Man Festival. Aaron Mitchell thought it would be a good idea to run straight into the burning effigy. And just as you would think, he burned to death. And this is the last photo ever taken of him. This photo shows 14-year-old Keith Sapsford. He hid in the wheel compartment of a flight heading from Sydney to Japan. The photo was captured by John Gilspin, who was testing out his new camera lens, when he accidentally captured the last moments of Keith's life. Geraldine thought it would be a good idea to go on a hiking expedition all by herself. But she ended up going missing, and it wasn't until 2 years later when her body was finally found. She had likely died from starvation and exposure to the elements. She tried to text her husband to contact authorities, but none of them went through. And this was the last photo of her taken before her hike.
This is why 3 a.m. is so scary. I know everybody knows that 3 a.m. is a scary time. You always see it in scary movies, but have you ever wondered why? It's because 3 a.m. is known as the Devil's Hour. It is said that during this hour, the veil between our world and the paranormal world is at its thinnest, meaning that ghosts and demons have a much easier time coming to our world at that time. So if you're ever awake at 3 a.m. and you hear a noise in your house, you better get to your room and lock the door.
Here's some horrible diseases that have no cure. One thing many people know about but do not take seriously enough is the rabies virus. As scary as it sounds, this viral disease is the closest thing we have to a zombie virus. People become infected with rabies after they are bitten by something or someone infected with it. What's even scarier is this virus can lay dormant in your body for up to 7 years, but people usually show symptoms after 3 to 12 weeks. When symptoms start, you may get flu-like symptoms such as a fever and headache. This stage can last for days before the real torment begins. You will begin to stay up for days, eventually going insane from sleep deprivation. You will also experience extreme thirst, but drinking anything will cause your voice box to painfully spasm. Nothing will start to make sense anymore, and you will become extremely violent and start hallucinating. This is because the virus causes your brain to swell up so much it cannot comfortably fit in the skull. You'll eventually lose control of all your muscles, inevitably leading to death. During these later stages, there is nothing that can be done to help the infected. In all of medical history, only 10 people have survived the end stages of the virus. Although there are many preventable measures you can take, such as vaccinations, when it comes to rabies, there is no cure.
Videos that will make you believe in ghosts, part 1. Okay, so the video I'm about to show you is extremely disturbing. It shows a very young baby being tormented by a ghost in the middle of the night.
Today we're looking at the last known photos of icons before their passing. Let's get it started. Although there are numerous photos claiming to be Abraham Lincoln's last, this is without question the last official portrait taken of the 16th President of the United States. It was taken in 1865, 2 months before his assassination. This photo was taken of WWE superstar Chris Benoit. Here he's seen posing for a fan. It was later determined that he had already murdered his wife and son at the time this photo was taken. He would later hang himself, concluding the grisly murder-suicide. This is the final photo taken of Marilyn Monroe the weekend before her death in 1962. This was the last photo taken of musical superstar Bob Marley. He was at the end of his very long battle with cancer. You can even see how much weight he lost, weighing 77 pounds or 34 kilograms.
Disturbing photos of people's final moments, part 1. This is moments before a Spanish bullfighter named Victor Barrio was killed and gored on live TV by a bull named Lorenzo during a bullfight. He was only 29 years old. This is journalist Kim Wall on the submarine of Peter Madsen. Madsen will later then kill and dismember Wall's body on board the submarine. He then sank her body parts in the middle of the sea before being rescued from his sinking submarine, which authorities believe that he purposely sank. In this photo, you see a young girl named Charisse Periwinkle and a man named Donald James Smith. He told Charisse that he was going to take her to McDonald's and get her some ice cream, but instead he abducted her and murdered her. Her body was shortly discovered not long after.
Here's some of the most haunting last photos of people. On January 28, 1986, a group of 7 crewmates from NASA boarded the Challenger before its takeoff. Sadly, the O-rings on the rocket malfunctioned, causing the rocket to explode 73 seconds after the launch above the Atlantic Ocean. This was the last photo taken of the crew. It shows them on their way to board the rocket. It's believed that some of the crew members survived the initial explosion, but died after hitting the water 46,000 feet below. Here are some haunting last photos of people. Part 3. In 1993, James Bulger, a 2-year-old boy, went to the mall with his parents. A 10-year-old boy got James away from his parents and led him out of the mall, where another 10-year-old boy joined them. This is the last photo taken from the mall surveillance camera, which shows James being led out of the mall. The 2 10-year-old boys, Robert Thompson and John Venables, led James to a set of train tracks in the woods, where they reportedly beat and tortured the boy to death. The details of what they did to him are too graphic to be mentioned here, but he was found 2 days later. The boys were held in a detention center until they were adults, where they were released under new identities.